Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to review episode 7 and episode 8 of season 2 of Twenties. Episode 7 was titled Dancing in the Moonlight and episode 8 was titled New Beginnings. So really in episode 7, I don't feel like a lot happened. I felt like this was a filler episode. Of course, the ending was big, but Marie, Hattie, Idina, and Zach went to Moondance, which is like the knockoff Sundance, or this show's version of Sundance, the film festival. Marie only invited Hattie, but Hattie ends up inviting Idina, and I feel like she does this at the last minute, or she does it without planning, because they have a less than average place to stay in. They don't have any tickets to the different screenings. A lot of the screenings are sold out, and then they can't even get into one of the parties. So it's all over the place, and Idina tells Hattie that she's like, she's really into organizing and planning, which makes sense. And of course, Hattie is the complete opposite. So then we have Nia and Tristan at the park, basically on a little date. They basically just talk about their childhood, the fact that Nia is very, very, very different from her sister, and then Tristan was the only child. I thought it was kind of weird so Tristan said that family is important to him, and Nia says family is important, or she's big on the family that she can choose. I was like, I mean, it makes sense because her family doesn't really support her, but like, I don't know, it seems like she maybe prioritizes her friends over her family just because her friends are more accepting and support her more than her family. But when she said, she's big on the family she can choose, I was like, oh, I mean, like, I know not everybody has a good relationship with their family, but I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of like a big deal to me. I don't know if they're going to explore that anymore, but Nia just looked really good. She just always looks good. So mostly Marie is walking around with Zach at this festival, and when she goes to her hotel, she has like gifts and a note from Chuck saying, "Don't forget to explore." He's just like, don't forget about that thing we talked about, Missy, and more on that at 11. I thought it was hilarious, Marie and Zach. I don't know if this was really a panel or them just being interviewed. Hattie is an entire fool. She is just so funny to me. She's my favorite character, but she asked after cutting this white guy in line. She asked both Marie and Zach about what films they were trying to buy, and Marie says, they say it at the same time. Marie says good films. Zach says profitable, and this came up before, maybe in episode 1 or 2, that Zach is about money, bringing in money, a film that's going to bring in money, while Marie wants good content, and of course Ben wants happy content. So they definitely need to find a balance with that. I know, again, Marie gave a more nuanced answer to having a good movie that also brings in money, and she said, she stated this statistic that basically the film industry has lost $16 trillion. I don't know if she said every year or between a certain amount of years because of racism. I don't know where the evidence is with that, but I mean, it's not that I don't think it's true, but I mean, I could see that being true. It's funny because there's a lot of people who would argue the opposite. A lot of times with movie producers, they make the argument of not pushing for diversity because they feel as though people aren't going to support it. People meaning white people. And I definitely see that, but then we also see with things like Black Panther and some of Jordan Peele's films that people do want to see these type of films. So Ben didn't show up to the festival, and he FaceTimes Nia, but he's drunk. Like, I don't think Nia didn't notice this, and then later on, I don't think Lauren noticed this, but I think he had been drinking like all day. But he basically has this conversation with Nia about Monument, that he doesn't feel like he's being supported and he wants to do his own thing, which is kind of weird to me just because they gave him the position, whatever the position he's in, over Marie. And I could have swore when they had the conversation about, you know, the content that people want to see, you know, Zach was just like, well, whatever is profitable. And it just seemed like he didn't even listen to Marie, at least in that meeting, and he was listening more to Ben. So I feel like he is being supported. I don't know. I mean, I haven't heard Zach reject any of his ideals, so I don't know what he's talking about. So, but he asked Nia if she would help him. That's just so risky. Every time I hear stuff like that, it's just so risky. I mean, and that's what Nia said. It takes a lot. It takes a lot to really do your own thing, to create your own production company and then find funding, find content. So it's a lot, especially with him leaving this place. It's a lot, especially since I haven't seen anybody, like, I haven't seen him get any pushback, unless I'm missing something. And he also lied to Lauren about being at the festival in this scene. So then we have this Alicia. We have this Alicia girl. Like, who is this? I think we may have seen her last season, but I think she's a director. You know, she speaks with Hattie about what she's working on, and Hattie says that she's working on this pilot. Alicia's like, send it to me. And I noticed Idina was looking at Alicia like, girl, what's going on here? What is this? What is this chemistry between you two? What are these smiles? What are these laughs? No smiling, no flirting. It's Idina and Hattie. So Idina ends up talking to Hattie about the whole sending the script to this woman, and she feels like Hattie's script isn't ready, and Hattie just doesn't feel like Idina's supporting her. I don't know. I think that she should work on the script, but I also think that, you know, she probably feels like this could be a once in a lifetime chance for me to possibly get my work out to a manager or out to some people, and I don't want to miss this opportunity. But I do think that Hattie needs some work. I don't know what the script is, but I think that she probably does need a little bit more work on her script. And so then Ben FaceTimes Lauren. They go on the break. I'm sorry. When she said, is it because I'm white? I just bursted out laughing. But and like I said, at that point it just seemed like Ben had been drinking all day, so it definitely seems like he's going through something. And so then of course Zach and Marie go back to their rooms, flirty like they've been doing since the end of season 1. And you know, Marie just goes to her bed. She sees the note from Chuck. She opens up the door because their rooms are connected, and he's right there, butt ass naked. And at first I thought that she opened the front door, and I'm like, why is he naked in the hall? But she opens their, why were their rooms, like their rooms were connected, of course they were going to have sex. Like, why were their rooms connected? That made no sense to me. So they have sex. And that's where episode 7 ends. So yeah, them being together, it was bound to happen. And so now we're at episode 8 with them waking up. And to me, it just felt like Marie, it felt like she had this like look of uncertainty on her face, like she maybe wasn't okay with sleeping with Zach. And I can see that, like, even if her and Chuck agreed to be open, Zach is also her boss, so they work together. So I don't know if that's what she was thinking about. She gets back home and it's just completely awkward with her and Chuck. He also says that she looks refreshed. Like, of course she is refreshed. So then we have the writers group with Hattie and Idina. I thought it was funny when, I think Hattie said, I had to rewatch the scene, but I thought it was so funny when Hattie was in the writers group and one of the girls was critiquing her script, and Hattie said, well, if you were a manager, would you like my script or something. The girl was like, what? I don't know why that made me laugh. She was like, girl, what are you talking about?
If you were a manager and you read it, would y'all sign me? What? Like, if you were...
I just thought that was so funny. She was like, what? And so then Idina explained that Hattie sent her script to a manager. I don't know why that made me laugh so much. And I think I'm gonna have to unplug this refrigerator. It just stopped doing whatever it's doing. It's too damn loud. So then Idina also brings up that Hattie will have to meet with a lot of managers. And she's just kind of like, why? If this guy likes me, then I should choose him. And then Idina's like, well, you have to also like him. And I thought that was I like that scene. I like what she said. And I almost feel like with her decision to choose the right manager and to actually see a bunch of managers, it's similar to a lot of things in life. It's similar to when you interview for a job. Like, you interview for a job and you want to get across your skill set, but you're also interviewing them. And if it's a decent place, they should be okay with you asking them questions. So I know, like, since COVID happened, there have been articles about how when people interview for some of these companies and these jobs, like, you should ask them, like, what was their response to COVID? Like, you know, did they allow people to work from home? You know, all of those different things. And I just feel like that's a part of growing up in dealing with, like, good employers. You interview them, they interview you, and it's the same with choosing a manager. It's not just pick the first person who chooses you. They might not be a good manager, you know? And like I said before, like, yeah, Hattie doesn't want to miss out on this, but there also are other managers and you want to choose the right person. Hattie, Nia, and Marie meet before Hattie meets with this manager named Drew. And so then she runs into Alicia. Yeah, she's being flirty. Who is this Alicia girl? So this guy, Drew, he wants to bring Hattie on board. It, like, at first, you know, she starts to ask him questions, but they're all dumb questions. I'm like, Hattie, what are you doing? You have to ask him good questions, not if he likes cats or dogs. But she does end up asking him, you know, about the whole diversity hire, and he basically says yes, but he's like, you know, you need me. She's like, well, you need me. So it's definitely a diversity hire. I don't know how this is gonna go. I don't think that she should go with the first person who accepts her script. I think she needs to listen to Idina. Listen to Idina's advice. So then we have Marie and Zach. Zach asks about Quintrell. Marie's basically like, Quintrell doesn't F with us. He doesn't want to use this company. And Zach's like, well, whose side are you on? But he also brings up Quintrell's looks, like, basically like, well, he's handsome. Like, are you supporting him more than you're supporting this company? And I don't know. Marie basically says I think she said she's on Monument's side, and because Zach says that he needs Quintrell to make some money. Like, he feels like Quintrell is gonna bring a lot of money to the company, and basically Marie's like, well, I'm on it. And I'm kind of like, Quintrell really wants to go outside of the company, so I don't know how Marie is really gonna do that, because he doesn't want to deal with these white folks, basically. And Marie's kind of like, well, he's good, I got him. So it makes me wonder if she's going to try to persuade him to still work with Monument, or if she's going to go outside of Monument. At this point, I don't see her going outside of Monument. Like, I don't see her risking leaving Monument to do her own thing. But you never know. You know, it might end up being her, Ben, Nia, and Quintrell doing their own thing. But even then, I'm sure they still can't really compete with Monument. But so then we have Hattie and Idina hanging out playing Bruno, and just talking about Hattie sending her, or choosing Drew to work with. And Hattie asked Idina is it weird basically that she's doing somewhat better than Idina? And Idina said no. The only person I'm competing with is myself, which I thought was cool. I like them together. Like, I think that they balance each other out to an extent. But it's still it is similar to Hattie and Ida, only because Idina is really mature. I think she's more mature and more responsible than Hattie. But I just like that she's there to keep her grounded. But there's also the other side of like, what is Hattie providing, or what is Hattie doing for Idina? But like we saw in this conversation, Hattie said, Hattie thanked Idina for inviting her to the writers group and being the best girlfriend she ever had. And Idina thanked Hattie for seeing her, which was cool. But it does feel like Hattie's getting more out of this relationship than Idina is. So, and Idina also told Hattie to not get too comfortable, since she found this manager, because she still has to do a lot of work. And then, like I said, Hattie thanked Idina for inviting her to writer's room and all that jazz. And then Miss Ida calls, but Hattie does not pick it up, of course. Okay, so I don't know about y'all, but me personally, this next scene gave me anxiety because I felt like, I'm a little slow sometimes. I just couldn't. I had to watch this scene over and over to really get it. I got the gist of it, but I don't know what it was that had me confused. So basically, Chuck and Mr. Jason, fine ass Jason, are playing basketball. So Chuck brings up that his fiancée Marie is allowing him to explore, and then he asks Jason how he identifies. Like, do you mind telling me how you identify? And Jason's like, yes, I do mind. And Chuck basically says, well, why does it matter? But then I think he answered his own question like, it doesn't really matter. And it's one of those weird things depending on the person. Like, at the end of the day, it doesn't, in my opinion, it doesn't matter. But it's not, for me, it's not that deep. Like, as I've gotten older, I definitely don't ponder about, like, it's in the back of your head when you're dealing with people. But to me, if you're dealing with somebody, if they are into you, they're into you. What does it matter how they identify? They're into you. It's just up to the person. Some people take it, I don't think it's that deep. I don't think it's like an ignorant question to ask, because sometimes people just want to know. And you can start conversations about it. You can, explore the topic, but if they're into you, they're into you. So what does it matter? I think another reason why sometimes people bring it up through ignorance is because they think about their sexual health. And so they feel as though when somebody, especially a man, identifies as something other than straight, then they have to think about STIs and stuff. And it's just, realistically, somebody can be straight and still have STIs. For me personally, it ends up becoming ignorant. I don't correlate the sexual health with what they identify or their sexuality, because I'm gonna make sure that both of us are safe before we do anything. So it doesn't matter to me what you identify as. If we're both dealing with each other, then we're dealing with each other. But like I said, I don't think it's the worst question in the world. But I think that this episode really represented how Chuck is still, he's exploring his queerness, and he's exploring dating. And so for him, it's like compared to Jason, it's like he needs all the answers for everything, and Jason's just kind of like, do it natural. These things will come natural, because I think Chuck says you don't have to have it all figured out, and he said I've never done that before. So this is really him letting loose, because Jason ends up telling him to take a breath. And so I think that just reflects him just going with the flow with his relationship and figuring stuff out as he goes. But like when I was watching, I was just like, oh, I don't get it. What is going on? But another thing I thought about with him saying like, I've never done this before, like obviously he was thinking about, or he was talking about his life at that moment, his sexuality, but to me it also sounded like the type of conversation you have with sex as well. It just felt that way, like I've never done this before, and Jason's just like, do what feels natural. It's just very sexual too. But yeah. So then we have Miss Ida wanting to meet with Nia, and I saw the trailer for this episode, so I knew what was coming. But she basically fires Nia. It's so messed up. Nia's crying. She's asking if she did anything wrong, and Ida's basically like, tell Hattie she owes me a phone call. So it just feels like she's firing Nia because of her situation with Hattie. It's so messed up, but it's not really surprising. And she was so cold when she did it. Like, what is wrong with you? Do you think that this will bring Hattie to you? It might bring Hattie, but I hope it doesn't, because nobody has time for that behavior, especially at your age. Nia was talking to her sister about this whole situation. Why is the sister still here? And I love that. So the sister said maybe it's a blessing in disguise, and at first I was like, oh my gosh, I hope this doesn't like push Nia away from acting. But and then Nia said something, be quiet before I call your husband and ask why you're really here. Like, I didn't even think about that. I'm glad Nia said that, because why are you here? Like, do you expect Nia to just drop everything and find some random guy and marry? I mean, well, obviously she's talking to like 2 dudes right now, but she's not gonna marry them anytime soon. She's not gonna get a house and a picket fence and become a freaking accountant anytime soon, or Susie Homemaker. So get out of, like, why are you here? So then she calls Hattie about it, and then Hattie calls Ida and basically is like, don't play with my girl. Then Ida says, my decision to drop Valentina has nothing to do with us. She was never supposed to be a series regular. Lies of Manelli, lies. Ida basically said she was just calling Hattie to congratulate her on the script situation, and she was here if Hattie needed her. Lies. I mean, there's been tons of red flags, but this was definitely a move that was just out there. Like, this really shows how far Ida could possibly go with this relationship, and it's not cool at all to like fire Nia because of Hattie. I don't know, it's just, and to like push that message through Nia. Like, you can argue that maybe it's not about Ida and Hattie's relationship, but she felt the need to push the message through Nia to Hattie. If she wanted Hattie to call her, like, of course she's been calling her, but she could have texted her and say, hey, can you give me a call? The fact that she pushed it through Nia, knowing that she didn't even want Nia in her and Hattie's business, shows that it's, you know, her dropping her is connected to her and Hattie. And to me, that's psychotic. and I don't like it. So yeah, so hopefully, I don't know, hopefully, you know, this might push Nia to Ben, to work with Ben, and I just don't want that for her. I really don't want it for her. I hope that her being on this show opens up more and better opportunities. So then we have Marie talking to Chuck's mother. She asks, how's everything going? First Marie's like, good, but the mom's like, tell the truth. And Marie says that she feels like she's still getting to know Chuck, and the mom's like, yeah, that makes sense. And I would think that does, I mean, I don't know anything about this, but being married or anything, but I would think you're not gonna know everything before you marry somebody. You constantly learn, you constantly grow. Oh, and then Alicia. So then we have Hattie working on her script, and this Alicia girl, I don't like her. And she basically was texting Hattie about the script, everything. She was doing a little flirting. No, what are you doing? You see Hattie has a whole girlfriend. Who is she? I don't like her. I don't like her at all. Don't do that. I can already see something messy is going to happen. Like, these women are really like hot shots right now. Like, Hattie literally has Idina. She's dating Idina. She got Ida acting psychotic over her, and now she got this new Alicia girl. Then we have, and we haven't seen the one girl she was dealing with season 1, the one who we saw her dealing with like the first episode. Then we have Nia with Mr. Happy Joy Ben, and then Big Sean, and then we have Marie juggling 3 guys. We have Chuck, her fiance, her boss, and then Finance Quintrell. Like, these girls are just, it is, I don't know if it's the summer, if it's the hot girl summer for them, but they are like, they're just a magnet. They're magnet. I wish I had their issues. Like, I was looking at when Nia was talking to Tristan in the beginning, not episode 8, maybe episode 7, and she asked Tristan if he was jealous of Ben because he brought up Ben, and I was like, I wish I had these issues. Well, I'm not trying to juggle someone like Ben. I would be happy with juggling Tristan, Quintrell, and Mr. Jason. We don't know how he identifies, so I'm gonna throw him in the loop. But anyway, who is this Alicia? Hopefully Hattie she should not go back to Ida at all, but I feel like she might. I haven't seen the previews for the next episode, and I don't even know if we have 1 episode left or 2 episodes, because I think last season they only had 9 episodes, so yeah. I don't want Hattie to mess this up at all. So yeah. Anyway, if you like this review, like, comment, and subscribe, and look forward to my review of episode 9 of season 2 of 20s. Thanks for watching.